Hello everyone, I am the Nerds Entertain, and welcome back to the Nerds Entertain podcast. I've been away for a while dealing with some personal issues about money and all that. You know how real life is, but anyways, back to the point of the episode. In today's episode, I'm going to step away from movies for a little bit for this episode. And I'm going to be talking about something that's been really scratching the back of my head for the past week or two. I watch a lot of Tim Pool. I know that's a weird thing to say. I really enjoy watching his content. But in today's episode, I'm really going to look at TimCast and talk about it. And to preference this off first with something that I know is going to be probably not well received, is that really this channel doesn't mean a lot to other people. It means a lot to me, you know. I really want to reach out to people and help change the world, and not even the world, just help change a few people into seeing what's good about the world, what's positive about it. And that's what this whole thing is about. It's about entertaining as much people as I can, or about reaching as much people as I can to make a positive impact on the world. And I know that I don't have any subscription numbers. I am a nothing channel right now. And I know when I post this, no one's really going to see it. With that preference, I do want to talk about TimCast and Tim Pool and the whole gang. Mainly just 3 people part of it, just to shovel it down a little bit. I do watch some of his other content, his vlogs about his house that he has, his Chicken City. I've watched that a couple times. And this is just me preferencing off that I'm not doing this whole thing to rip him apart and try to be like, Tim Pool evil or something like that. No. This really isn't one of those. This is honest criticism of his channel and what he does and how I feel like maybe it could be better at finding new things to really talk about and do. And I also want to say this is all off his free content. I don't know how he acts in his paid content. I haven't watched any of his paid content, so I can't really say how he acts on there. I've only seen his free content and how he acts on other people's platforms. So with that in mind, let's get down into my I'm going to keep it with consistent rant and review about TimCast or Tim Pool. So, okay, let's start out with the main man himself, the head honcho of the channel, Tim Pool. One of my biggest things I have to say about him is that I've listened to him a lot. I've watched a lot of his content for the past, a year or two now, and he's really one of the first people that made me want to go into podcasting, to voice my opinion about things, about movies. And this episode is very much me talking about him. Even though he was a positive influence on what I want to do, I do have to say a couple things. And a lot I see him talk about how he grows up in Chicago and in a traditionally blue state, and he moved out of blue state, and now he's living on his own out in wherever he lives. I forget the exact state. Oh, it's West Virginia. Whew, over my head. And one of the first reasons I have to talk about Tim Pool that bugs me now after watching his content for a bit is I don't think Tim Pool really understands people now in blue states. He constantly talks about how the true, real people don't believe this, don't believe the lies of the media, don't believe the lies of a lot of things that they're preaching on CNN or even Fox News. And I have to say, yeah, you're right, on some cases it doesn't hit a lot of people, but living in a blue state myself right now, I have to say, I don't think he understands them and how people really think. I've traveled a lot, and I've seen a few things here and there, but living in one to day life, and experiencing how it grows and changes, and seeing its ups and downs and major downfalls, I think he's lost his connection to how it really is. Because a lot of the people here, even though that he says, they're not falling for the lies or whatever, I feel a lot of people do believe the things that they hear and see because they make it about themselves. And I don't have any room to say I make everything about myself. I commentate on movies and how I feel about them. Of course I'm going to commentate about myself and make it how I feel about things. And I don't really have a problem with that. But I don't think he really understands how they act anymore. How it goes down. Even though, yeah, it really is crazy in a lot of places. There's a lot of places in blue states, in the more, you want to say, red areas, that act a little bit different from the other states. But even in the more conservative, and I'm using air quotes, parts of California and other blue states, you still find people who believe the things that he says they don't believe. And I think that's why when votes come to count, they are what they're there for. People do believe the things that they hear. Now to my next point. I think this is going to sound bad, but I know Tim is a millennial. I don't have a problem with that, I vibe with millennials all the time. I think they're really, really amazing people, and I love them so much. But he really is cringy sometimes. Like, he is skater bro humor, and I love that about him. But it is really, really cringy, and I do have to say, I don't think he really understands the younger generation now. I don't think he gets Gen Z. And as a member of, the Gen Z, not even culture, just a range of age, I guess. Some of the stuff he says doesn't really reflect well from someone who is younger, and I don't really have anything to say. I love older movies, I love older music, I love old things in general. I'm fascinated with history, and the world, and the 80s, the 90s, World War II, World War I, ancient Egypt. I am very different from other people that are Gen Z, and I feel like I don't have a step to say that I understand Gen Z, because I really probably don't. But I feel like Tim Pool understands it less than I do. In the forms of, when he's talking about younger generations, how there's this great divide. I know it's true. I've seen it firsthand, how there is this great divide between what one Gen Z person thinks to what another one does. But I feel like we're really extreme in our beliefs, no matter what it is. And that even someone that is left or right is going to be extreme in those ideals, and there's a lot less center Gen Z, because they've been polarized so much to think yes or no or yes. And when a Gen Z person is more centrist or centralized thinking, when they look at the world, they see certain things. I feel like that's why they connect a lot to millennials, is because I feel like they see themselves in the same boat as being politically lost. And I feel like if he had a younger person there on his crew, on his cast, that was younger and closer to the Gen Z culture, that could lend him some ideals of how that, yes, you're right, a lot of Gen Z isn't like that, but you're missing a lot of the points. You're missing a lot of pieces of the puzzle. And I know myself that I probably won't be the best person for that job, but being closer to them, you get to see a lot of stuff that you don't see on a day-to-day basis, being surrounded by millennials in his situation, other people his age or even close to his age. You don't get the interaction that some people do. You don't get to see the way their brains turn and how they think about certain things, and how it's either, and as to use a Talladega Nights reference, you either finish first or last, and that's how they feel about everything. Alright. To my next point about Tim, which is a positive thing. He is an amazing businessman and media figure. The way he runs TimCast, the way he runs everything he operates is so amazing. He is such a critical thinker in the mind of business. It is amazing the empire that he is built and is building. He's right up there with the Daily Mail. Not the Daily Mail, what are they? I've completely lost the name. It's Daily Wire. Or is it Daily Wire? Yeah, it's the Daily Wire with Ben Shapiro and all that. He's right up there with them. He's right up there with Crowder and what they do, or Blaze TV, or other, like, Young Turks, or maybe even, like, Vice and all that. He's right up there with the best of them, and how he interacts with media and social media and business. It's so amazing how he's able to turn the smallest thing into profit, into business, and he has the right people on his channel and on his group to really format his base group. But to point back, which is, I don't think he understands a lot of the younger people in the point of business, that he doesn't know how to reach them right. And I feel like that's something that could be worked on, but other than that, he's a brilliant businessman. Everything he's doing to Culture Jam to make sure that everything that he believes in gets out to the right people, and the right people that believe in the same thing he does, or even not the same things he does, go out and also party with him, which is amazing. Alright. Now back to, not some of the negative things, some things I have to talk about, because when you talk to Tim Pool and talk about Tim Pool, how do you not talk about him talking about his past all the time? And people are nothing but their past. I know in movies and TV shows you hear that a lot. Hey, your past doesn't matter. You know, you're who you are today, and that's all that matters. But to me, as someone who studied history, or who has studied history, has been fascinated by people in general, how you can't really do that. You are your past no matter what. Every experience you have, to quote Doctor Who, you're always changing in life, and you'll always remember the person that you were, as long as you're good. You know, that's not the exact quote, but every Doctor Who fan knows I'm quoting 13th Doctor and his final message about being the Doctor. And even though it's just a trope or a thing he has where they bring out something, he's like, well, back at Wall Street, or growing up in Chicago, or being from this family. Even though I don't even know why I'm sounding like that. Tim Pool doesn't even sound like that. I'm not very good at impressions, even though I want to be an actor. I don't have a problem with that. It's just something that you have to talk about when you talk about Tim Pool. He brings up his past all the time. But I think he does it because it's to make a point. It's because a lot of people call him out, hey, this, that, this, that, this, that. And he brings up his past about being, and I would consider probably back when he did all those things, very, very liberal, very, very left-leaning. And that how his positions on a lot of things has probably stayed the same for a majority of all of it. And nowadays he's considered a crazy, Oh, no, 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 I'm a right-wing personality. But yeah, I think he really has the same. A lot of people call him a grifter, but I don't think so. I just think that one side is grifting, if you want to use the same thing, away from him, and how he's becoming voice of the lost. And that's one of my final points I want to bring up, so I'll bring back to it later. Oh, sorry about that engine. And one thing I also have to agree with, as I agree with a lot of the politics he talks about. I really resonate with not everything he says, but a lot of things that he says, his views on things, I typically agree with, which sounds crazy because out of all my friends, I feel like I am conservative in one group and liberal in another group. And I really flow with everything he says and what he brings up. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, you're right. And I know it's bad to be in the echo chamber. I keep on picking up my pencil. I'm sorry about that. And I know it's bad to be in an echo chamber, but I'm like, yes, because he does say stuff I completely disagree with sometimes, and I'm like, hey, no, stop that. But he's his own person, and I'm my own person. I just think if we were to talk, we would vibe on a lot of things and talk about major issues and have deep conversations about what's right, what's wrong, and how do you understand and what I need to understand about the world. And that's my next point about it. I'm sorry if I'm talking really, really fast. I'm just really excited about this episode. Is that he understands the political state of how it works and how the world sort of works right now. And that's what I like about him, is that he brings a reality to his podcast that some of his other member, specifically one other member I'm going to talk about, is that he understands how it works, how they say certain things, if you release them on certain dates, how if you say one thing, they call you crazy, and how if you say one thing about something else, the other side calls you crazy about saying that. And it's so crazy in my brain how, as a media guy, he was able to keep up and always form this base around him to make sure that they always know what's going on. Because he is a news organization, if you want to call him TimCast, that even though they do present the news a lot, they do have a bias in what they say and what they do, but they're honest about it, they're true about it. And he just knows how that stuff works and how to say it properly. One of the things that I do, I'm kind of back and forth about is, I know as a blunt person, not even myself, I know a lot of blunt people, I feel like I can be really blunt because I just don't understand how people think sometimes, is that I feel like he is a little rude to his co-stars and his guests sometimes. Particularly Ian, is that I feel like he doesn't want to get misconstrued with small details, or you don't want to go on tangents that don't lead anywhere. But I feel like he is sometimes very rude to his co-stars, and I do have to admit that does get on my nerves sometimes. I'm like, hey man, just let that dude talk. I know it's called TimCast, and dude, it's your show, do whatever you want, I don't care. I'm not saying, hey, be a little nicer, you're probably hurting their feelings. I sound like a total crazy person for saying that. But hey, sometimes it is true. Sometimes I feel like you do have to let other people talk a little bit, as long as he wants to keep a hold of his video and how it flows. And I understand that because I am a control freak when it comes to like how stuff works and how it should get there. I know he wants to keep it on that angle. I've never seen any of his other content, just the free content, and that's just the vibe he gives me on his free content. And the last point I want to say is what I said earlier, is I feel like he is the voice of the lost political party. I can't even say as a millennial, but as someone who does seem as lost in the political world as a lot of other people I'm sure are, they look to Tim and everything he says, and they hold him a lot of hope that he isn't lying to them, that he is telling them the truth. Because I feel a lot of people feel like they're in his situation, that they don't know what to do, that they feel like neither party represents them. They want something else besides what they have. And I'm saying feel a lot, and they have that in Tim. He's become the voice of the lost millennial. And I might actually name if he was to be titled anything, I want that to be his title. Tim Pool, voice of the lost millennial. Because nowadays, that's what it is. He is giving concerns and a place to go for people that don't know where to go, that are lost in the world, that don't have a home. And he's opening his arms and his ideas and his beliefs into, hey, I'm lost too. Let's get together, figure something out, and change the world for the better. Because we don't fit in it no longer. And we just want to find a place to stay. And he's making that. And I would love to support that. Giving the voice, giving the lost, giving the voice. I don't even know what I'm saying. Giving a voice to the lost. There we go. I'm going to now move on to a different person of the TimCast. He's Ian Crossland. I love the guy. I tweet at him a couple times. He always responds to a lot of people. He's on Twitter and he responds to people, even people like me that have 0 followers. At first glance, and at my first glance of Ian, is he comes across as a hippie doodle type of person, like, whoa man, you can't say the type of things, bro, type of person, But I know I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for saying this, but he's probably the most freedom-loving person in that group. And I'm even including Seamus on there. I feel like he is very freedom-loving. He loves a lot of people, and he wants to see the world vibe and be balanced and strong and equal. Now, my other point of him is I don't agree with a lot of things he says. He does talk about a lot of weird things. And this is all about, free content. I'm not saying anything about his paid content or, the TimCast paid content. But he says a lot of stuff I don't agree with, because he gets stuck on small details a lot, and I feel like that's why Tim gets annoyed at him sometimes, is that he does want to talk about the small details, about the 0.11, the 0.0000001% of times that stuff happens. He wants to talk about that, and what would you do? And I agree with him on some points that you do have to take time and talk about small details. And I would love to talk about small details with him any day of the week. I would love to talk about small details with him. But I feel like the one thing that I feel like we would always disagree on is that he doesn't agree with a lot of like black or white settings. There's more to it than that. And I do agree there's always a gray zone in everything. There's a gray about everything. But me personally, I do believe that that some parts of the world have to be black and white. There is a good and evil, a true and false. And I know he doesn't agree with that. And we could talk about that for hours if we met in person or even on Skype or something. I don't care. But that's something that he does. To my next point. I do like his moral views on a lot of things. He's very deep. And he wants to take a very, very deep dive into anything. I wish he had his own hour-long... Maybe he does. I don't know. His own hour-long, thing or podcast or something where he just talks about things and what to do. And, how he believes certain things and what he actually believes, how he would do it. I would love to have a deep dive about his moral stances and what he believes in, because that's what I think I do share a lot with him on his moral stances about a lot of things, how in certain situations everything can be black and white, but I feel like I would love to have that argument with him, his very gray and my very black and white. and what he believes in. I do really agree with some of the stuff he says, and I do really not agree with some of the stuff he also says. And I just want to put this out. I don't know what he does on his personal time, whatever, but he does always give off that vibe, the person you want to go grab a drink with. And even though that's, I don't know, a weird thing to say, I feel like he always gives out that vibe that you go out to a bar, order a beer, or something, and just sit there and chat. And that is amazing feeling, amazing energy to give off. And the last person I do want to talk about is Seamus. I don't know, I'm not going to talk about Lydia, even though that she is a giant part of the channel. She does a lot for them, and I respect her so much. Like, hearts out to you. I do just want to move on to Seamus, because she does give her opinions about other things here and there. I just don't know. Maybe on, like, you know, the paid stuff, she speaks up a lot more, and I would love to see that. Because I would love to hear her opinions about a lot more things, because no offense to the boys on TimCast, I feel like it is very much like boys party, and I would love to hear her talk about how she thinks about a lot of things, because I feel like we would get a different view from a different perspective, from a different life point. Alright, now to Seamus. Everyone knows that Seamus is the conservative of the group. Like, he's Christian, I think he's Christian, I think he might be Catholic. I forget what his actual religion is. I feel bad for saying that, but he is the religious one, very conservative. And it sounds bad, you know, he's the creator of Freedom Tunes. I love to watch his Freedom Tunes, they make me laugh, because he does make fun of the left, the right. He is very, very self-aware about what he does and everything he says. I feel like that makes him really based, along with Ian, you know? I feel like those, Ian and Seamus, really go along very well, because both of them are very self-aware about how they are and who they are. And I feel like that's something Tim could probably pick up from them, is the self-awareness. And like I said, this is just based off the free content. But the one thing I have to say about him, even though that he is very funny, he makes me laugh a lot, is that he is very milk toast. I know he likes to say that about other Republican candidates and conservative, but I feel like he is also very milk toast. That he is very much matter of fact type of bland person. Like, it sounds, I don't want to make, I love him so much. If he somehow is hear this, I love you. But I feel like you would fit perfectly next to Ben Shapiro as like, yes, I do agree that, I do agree, you know. He gives off that vibes, but not really. He has a lot to say, and I feel like if him and Ian somehow made their own little tiny podcast, it would be amazing. I would watch that every day, all day, every time I can. And yeah, that is sort of my thing about TimCast and how I feel about it. I've been wanting to make this episode a lot. I wanted to speak on it longer, but I want to keep it short, simple, and sweet before I just ramble off and say nothing. I hope somehow Tim, Ian, Seamus, and the rest of the TimCast crew somehow sees this and takes it to heart, you know. Even though I said a lot of nothing, I didn't give a lot of pointers. I feel like if I hired someone, you know, a younger person, I'm not even saying, this isn't me being like, come hire me, take me over, pay me money. I'm not doing that. I would just love to get a hold of them and talk to them for like 20 minutes and just be able to say, hey, reach out your audience, reach out your touch of what you think and how you feel and everything the world is happening to a younger demographic. And if you were to do that, you would be able to help a lot more people. Like, sorry. I don't know what happened. I just got this sudden pain in my shoulder. Sorry about that. Anyways, if that was to happen, they were to reach out to younger people and even invite younger people on the show to talk to see how they feel about things, they would realize that the world is very different and how crazy it is what people think. I know they probably do realize that, and like I said, this is just off of what I see on the free content. But I would love for someone my age to go there, talk to them, and see, hey, there's more than just millennials, because younger people are coming, and they're going to look at your content and be like, I agree with what he's saying, I just can't, I don't know, I don't pick it up all the way. I think he needs to do that every once in a while, and that would be nice. Well, this has been the Nerds Entertained podcast, and depending on what the reaction that I get to this, I might do more of this, I might do less of this. I'll see how people react. But if you like it, let me know. Contact me, tweet me. I think I have a Nerds Entertained Twitter. If not, I do have a personal Twitter that I post on every once in a while. You'll find that because I'll just put it up on my other social medias. I'm on Minds, I'm on Getter, I'm on every media platform under the sun to try to reach as many people as I can. Find me, comment, talk to me. I will somehow bring together voices that I don't even know, and we'll talk about things. With that out of the way, this is Nerds Entertained Podcast, signing out.